Morning, Warren.
Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Grit.
Another Monday morning, another beautiful, snowy Monday morning here in Tacoma. It's been snowing all week, Warren.
Yeah, certainly unexpected for this time of year, but I for one welcome it actually.
I like it, yeah.
I prefer it over rain.
It looks nicer than rain at the beginning.
Yes.
And I like it when we actually got the perfect amount where the roads were clear, but the trees had a nice crust to
Yeah, a
them.
little dusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's like the sweet spot in my opinion. It's also good decor for the holiday season now that we're
Definitely.
living in post-Thanksgiving times.
Exactly. Do you have your Christmas decorations up yet?
No, I don't really decorate.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
It was a bluff.
I just go over to my parents' house and they decorate.
I thought about doing it in here, putting a little bit of Christmas lights up and around, but
Christmas lights are fun.
yeah.
I mean,
I think I could string up, just do like around the top corner here.
were you thinking
edge.
of doing like colored or just white Christmas lights?
You know, I think in this situation I could get away with either one.
Yeah, you could.
Yep. But not yet, because I have to go to my parents' house because they have the Christmas lights.
Have you ever put up the icicle Christmas lights?
Yes, I really like the icicle Christmas
I
lights.
like the way they look. I feel like they're such a pain in the ass to put up, though.
Oh, really?
I mean, you ever been up on your roof when it's like 20
Oh,
degrees and
yeah,
raining
well-
out and trying to put, like, clip up all of those little lights?
In that regard, I think every Christmas light is kind of a pain to hang up. But if you get the right kind of clips for your gutters, they're
Mhm.
not too bad. And if you do an inside, then that's nice and easy anyway.
Gotcha.
I got these rafters to hang them from.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would certainly make it easier. But did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did have a good Thanksgiving. We had a bunch of family over at my Aunt Teresa's and some family of family, which is fun because it fills out the table a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
What about
People, I hung out with some friends.
Oh, yeah. Did you have any good food to eat?
Yeah, we went to Doyle's Public House. One of the few
nice.
places actually open on Thanksgiving.
That's a good vibe for Thanksgiving.
I in terms of like bars, Doyle's has really good food.
That is true. What did you have Thanksgiving Eve? Or what time did you go there? Like 3? 5?
No, I think we started at like 11 or noon. We watched
Nice. That's what I like. Like a lunchtime Thanksgiving.
yeah, we watched I think it was Brazil versus Serbia was on, which
Oh yeah, we got to
you
catch
can-
up on the soccer.
yeah, you
We haven't
can
talked soccer since game 1
no.
when we tie or actually was I messaging you game 2 when we tied with
With
England?
England? Yeah, you did.
And then I haven't touched base since then. We've lost to the Netherlands.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. So so obviously with Brazil versus Serbia, you could probably tell who won.
Yeah, well, Brazil's a juggernaut.
But yeah, we it was fun. But yeah, so we since then, us tying England, we or drawing. That's it's the soccer term. We
I call it love.
a big tennis guy.
Yeah,
We beat Iran.
we did beat
Right.
Iran.
And,
Expected.
Yeah, expected. And
Were they the bottom of the pool?
I think so.
Yeah, they had to.
I think so. But with that being said, we advanced out of our group into playing against the Netherlands, and of course we lost.
I mean, the Netherlands they're very good.
They are. The thing that sort of disappoints me though is like if you look at the stats of the game,
Uh-huh.
we had a pretty strong performance, at least statistically, right?
You mean like possession?
Like we're talking about possession, shots on target, overall shots, passes, stuff like that. So statistically speaking, actually a pretty strong performance, but like, stats alone don't win games.
You gotta score goals in the back of the net.
Unless it's baseball. Baseball. I watched Moneyball.
Yeah, there's money you can get out of players.
Yeah.
But were you disappointed in the loss?
Not really. I mean,
did you see it coming? I feel like I was to win.
I was thankful the United States even qualified for the World Cup. They didn't last time.
Totally. So then, is there like a ranking that it's of the 16, right? So will there end up being like we got 9th or something? Do they do that kind of breakdown?
I don't think so. You either win the World Cup or nobody cares,
Yeah. So who's the odds-on favorite now? Netherlands is left.
I think France is actually one of the favorites.
I remember when France was in the finals of the World Cup last.
Yeah.
That was a while ago. I was in high school still.
Huh. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
What's his name? Headbutted the other guy, Zidane.
I don't. I didn't
You don't
really
know the guy with the headbutt? The guy,
No.
the French guy with the name that starts with a Z?
No.
He headbutted a guy in the World Cup.
That's
final.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then
Red card, I'm guessing.
No, and then I think he ended up winning the game it was a shootout at the end.
Oh, okay. Those are always.
He went for the middle.
Wow, that's usually not.
It's usually not a good strategy.
Typical, yeah.
And the goalie didn't fall for it, but he hit the crossbar, I think.
Oh,
it was so sick.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it must have been the finals. Maybe some soccer people are listening, being like, "What is this guy talking about?" That's what I remember.
I kind of feel bad because I like soccer, but I just have a hard time getting excited for Team USA.
Oh yeah.
Like it's.
You just don't. They're not good enough for you.
No, it's not my club. My club's the Sounders, right?
That's fair.
But
there were a couple of Sounders on the team.
There were they which is good, but it's not my club.
They weren't
it's
the
not
leaders of the game.
It's not my colors. It's not the the blue and green.
That's fair.
But oh well. I mean, the thing is, it just feels like nobody really cares about Team USA unless like the Olympics or the World Cup is going on.
I don't know. I think that it's fun to have the national pride. Like, I think we say USA #1 almost in jest, but when you start to travel, you realize we are actually the best country in the world.
Not in soccer, I'll put it that way. Not in soccer.
Yeah, so maybe that's why there's this disconnect of, hey, we're the best country in the world. Why are we not the best at soccer as well? It doesn't really make sense.
No,
it doesn't. The logic I've heard about that football players take all the best athletes, which is fair. That would make sense.
I mean, that's chase the money.
But even still, you think we'd have enough extra.
We're getting there.
I guess that's true. It's a slow progression.
We're getting there. People are warming up to it.
We have the best women's soccer, so.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That Title IX's paying off.
Yeah. So, have you followed the trial of Ed Troyer at all?
No, not really. You told me about it last time, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. So, I believe the trial resumes today.
Oh, okay. So is it like getting the verdict, or?
So right now, I believe they are examining like witnesses, or at least witnesses are giving their testimonies, which a lot of them are like
Police
current
officers?
or former police officers. I know one of them was like the dispatcher that handled the call.
Interesting.
But, I mean, Troyer is facing misdemeanor charges.
That almost seems like not enough.
No, and I certainly agree, because I feel like if you or I, made a false 911 report, right,
mm-hmm.
that they made it the highest priority, right? So like, they made it. I guess
it's like swatting somebody.
Yeah, so they made it priority 0, which I guess is the highest priority, and I think like 40 police officers showed up to the scene.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's basically like a drop everything and head
Well,
in
and
this
it's also
direction.
the abuse of your power, too, on top of the fact that if it was a regular person doing it, it would be bad.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we want to create a society of rule of law. I definitely think that he's being treated a bit more gentler because he's the sheriff, right?
Yes.
But it'll be interesting to continue to watch the trial. But
I guess it is fair if you're a police officer and you get arrested and you're in prison, they probably don't treat you very well.
No, they certainly wouldn't. But like, if you were in prison and like, let's say the guy that gets locked up, in the prison with you used to be a corrections officer. You're not going to be
the
friends.
Guards will take it easy on you or something, but even then,
maybe
not.
But yeah, probably not. So yeah, it's just like, what the hell was going through his mind when he was like, my newspaper carrier's threatening to kill me?
Yeah, well, he was probably just like, when people can't lose.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just end up abusing their power so they don't lose.
Yeah, there's like one of the parts of the trial was like Troyer, I guess, in his 911 call was like made some, or maybe afterwards he gave a statement about like malicious throwing of newspapers at his house,
yeah,
right?
Well, you can't just say, "Sorry, I made a mistake."
Right. So, and then like one of the police officers, actually a Tacoma police officer who's like testifying against him as a witness, is like, I saw the newspaper laying in the driveway as you would see any other newspaper get delivered, but it's like, the way Troyer makes it sound with launching the newspaper, it's like, what did Cedric All-Timer have like a giant slingshot
a cannon
mounted to his car? But it's such a.
Hopefully, we'll get a reason. We'll be it won't be a crazy trial. It'll be straightforward, and he'll be replaced by somebody more competent.
He's definitely not getting reelected sheriff after this. I promise you that.
You know what's stupid though, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about a lot, is just like the value of name recognition in life, but also in politics. I mean, his name is. I didn't know who he was before this trial, and now I know his name. And name recognition when you're voting is like the number one most important thing, even if it's bad. Like the bad publicity
is good.
There's no such thing as bad publicity or whatever.
For sure.
I bet there's a chance he actually does it all right, but probably will still lose.
I mean, I think it sort of brings up the issue, like when you elect a sheriff, they're very difficult to get rid of because you have to get rid of them through a recall.
Oh, okay.
Right, so that's why King County, I think, made the sheriff's position appointed by county leadership instead of elected.
I know a funny story about King County.
Mm-hmm.
So it's right now it's King County, Martin Luther King.
Right.
Like if you look at the logos of all the things, it's Martin Luther King. They had changed that, I think, within like the last 10 years. There used to be, there was a different king who like was an important guy in the history of our state.
Uh-huh.
But then everyone just assumed that it was Martin Luther King.
Oh, wow.
And then they're just like, we'll just change it, I guess.
I wonder who people think Pierce County is named after.
Yeah, you think it's after Pierce Morgan?
Pierce Morgan. No, different Pierce.
Yeah. And I also have to make a correction. So I was talking about the France game.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. So Zinedine Zidane,
mm-hmm.
he headbutted Marco Maserati, the other guy.
Materazzi. Yeah.
In the final. And he did do the crossbar shot, but France lost to Italy.
Oh.
So his was one of the three, but Italy got 5 in the.
That's
what
wow.
a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember it from 2006.
Yeah, in 2006, I did not really follow.
It was my first World Cup I paid attention to.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So speaking of like things in the news, it seems like a rail strike has been averted for now.
Okay, that's good.
Which, I mean, that's.
Is it good?
I think the railroad workers are getting a crappy deal, but if you like in terms of like
they work all day.
For the rest of us, it's good. I mean, if you think about how many goods are shipped by freight, but like locally, if you commute on the Sounder and there's a rail strike,
You
guess
can't get
what?
to work.
Yeah, you can't.
Interesting.
You're not riding the Sounder. That's
Joe
for
Biden
sure.
can't get to the White House.
Yeah, and like
Does he still commute?
I think so. I mean,
commute by train when he moves around.
I don't know if the president can even be on Amtrak. Do you think they'd have like
a special
car, a whole train for the president?
They probably do from like Roosevelt era.
They call it Railroad One.
Roosevelt used to give speeches on the back of a moving train because he couldn't help himself.
Well, that was also like the way of getting around at the time, unless you were on like a ship, right? But you can't go out to Topeka, Kansas on a boat.
They were even phasing out the horse.
They certainly were.
They were. Well, that's why Teddy Roosevelt would join the Rough Riders, because he saw that it was going to be his last chance to be a part of a cavalry.
Okay.
So the cavalry were getting phased out, and this was his last chance.
So
he fought with the Rough Riders.
The train, also known as the Iron Horse.
Yes. Are they really made out of iron?
They used to be.
I guess that makes sense. I think of the track as iron.
I mean, yeah.
But it's a steel rail, is what I really think.
For sure. I think the term for the track is, you call it the high iron. Like, at least that's what I call it. Maybe nobody else calls it that, but I like calling it the high iron. But yeah, Joe Biden has Amtrak 1. It's got a special car in it that he can launch all the nuclear missiles from. Like, it's like the
cool.
war room.
It just seems like it's more susceptible to getting hijacked. But maybe not.
That would be a cool
movie. Or like disrupted, or something like that.
That'd be a cool movie. The taking of Amtrak, of Railroad One. It's like it's a combination of the movie Air Force One and taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I like that.
I like
and
that.
A great train robbery.
Oh yeah, what an exciting thing, a train robbery.
I know, it's probably the coolest type of thing to rob.
Absolutely, and I noticed that there is a small police force in Tacoma. I've seen their office. I've never actually seen them in real life. I question their existence, but they're called the Metropolitan Railroad Police. And I'm just imagining, like, back in the day, they're making trains that can go faster than horses, so they need a crack squad of their best officers to make sure the trains don't get robbed.
Yeah, or making sure no hobos are hopping on the line.
That's that's the original form of mass transit, just hopping on the train and letting it take you somewhere.
Yeah, don't get sucked under.
No. That would not. That probably doesn't feel good.
No, it'll tear your leg off. So I've heard.
Have you met anyone that lost their leg that way?
No, but I had a friend who did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was hopping the train and he was behind and he was kind of showing off a little bit and his leg got caught underneath and pulled under.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I think it was his left leg.
But yeah, so Sound Transit put out these boards that are like, if there is a rail strike, you like, these are the alternates you can take, and like they're all
like the bus routes or
they're
something.
They're all just objectively worse than taking the Sounder.
Well, probably significantly worse.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, if you're coming from
you probably have to do like 3 different bus transfers.
There are some places that the Sounder serves that the buses don't start moving until like 2 hours after Sounder's service actually starts up. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not it's not a great deal, but it seems like the rail strike's been averted for now, so Sounder riders can rest easy.
Phew.
Rest easy. But so I saw Tacoma end up in the news in like a very unconventional way. You know how in China right now there's pretty large scale civil unrest, right, against the party and
oh yeah, constantly.
Xi Jinping, because
in which regard?
Well, a lot of frustration.
Lots of things going on,
I mean,
imagine,
a lot of frustration over the zero COVID strategy, right?
Oh, okay.
The lockdowns.
That's funny. That isn't what I was expecting, but
well,
yeah, I've seen they put the spike in front of your door so you can't open it, and then people caught on fire.
Well, yeah. So, did you see the particular apartment block fire that sort of set off the whole wave of protest?
Yep,
yeah.
I did.
And the thing is, with that, there's been a bit of a crackdown too, and on like Chinese social media, or at least Chinese Twitter, like people who speak Chinese, like that sort of part of Twitter, right?
Yeah.
There's been a clip going around that's like, oh my goodness, look at the police running over these protesters in Shanghai.
Okay.
And it's not Shanghai. The video is actually Tacoma from 2001.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
They took a Tacoma video and made people think it was Shanghai?
Yes.
What kind of camera angle did they pull that off on?
It's not... People can be very gullible, because let me tell you, if you...
Did you see the clip?
Yes.
Does it look like Shanghai?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm actually flattered that somebody was like, look at what's happening in the cosmopolitan and
biggest city in the world,
hub of commerce and culture of Shanghai, and it's just like the intersection of I think 9th and Pacific in Tacoma.
Did a police officer run over people?
Yeah, so there was like I guess you call it like a sideshow, right? Where or a takeover, where like typically street racers will take over an intersection and they'll do donuts in the intersection.
Yeah,
and there was this huge crowd, right? Because it's 9th and Pack Avenue, like that's like one of the hubs of Tacoma's nightlife. And this one officer shows up with his squad car, and he tries to break it up by like driving into like the middle of the intersection. Terrible idea.
Didn't work.
Horrible. People surrounded the car,
Whoa.
Right? Because it's a bunch of belligerent young people doing,
right. They have the numbers on
illegal activities. Of course, they're not going to be docile when a police car drives in and is like, get the hell out of here, go home. So people are banging on the police car and stuff. The guy panics and he just floors it and ends up running some people over. Yeah, it's
when was this?
This was 2001, I want to say.
Okay. Interesting. That's a crazy Tacoma story.
Yeah, it is, and now it's being shared around in the Chinese-speaking Twitter as
That's Chinese fake news. They're trying to take credit for our incompetent police officers.
Yeah, but I'm flattered that they think it's we're Shanghai now.
That's fairly funny.
Yeah. But yeah, like especially if you live in Tacoma, you're like, that's Tacoma.
That's not Shanghai.
Yeah, that's definitely not Shanghai. Well, it's also a bunch of
their police cars you'd think would look different.
Well, yeah, I mean they certainly don't say Tacoma Police Department on the side.
Everybody in the crowd would be Chinese.
Yeah, or at least they wouldn't be shouting, "Oh my God! Oh my God!"
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to see.
That is funny.
Speaking of, like, police related things, I was recently sick for a while, so it's like there's not much to do at home. So
Look out the window.
One of my guilty pleasures is to watch videos of police impersonators getting caught on YouTube.
Oh, getting caught.
Yeah, getting caught by like the actual police, because like, you know,
interesting.
thank God for body cameras. There's so much crazy stuff you can watch, because it's like
yeah.
it's all public record too. So you just need to, like, if somebody just submits freedom of information, like a lot of these police departments have to hand over the footage from these arrests.
Oh,
and so there's
So
entire
people are just making YouTube channels out of that.
Yep, there's entire YouTube channels completely dedicated to like bizarre or strange or interesting like police interactions.
Interesting.
And my favorite, I have two favorites. One are police impersonators getting caught, and two, cops arresting other cops.
Oh,
it's
nice.
so funny.
Yeah, that's satisfying.
It's hilarious, dude.
So what kind of people are impersonating cops? Like, what are they trying to get away with?
It's really wild. There's just such a variety of it. There's like either disgraced like former cops that are, you know, exactly. There's like corrections officers that aren't quite of the caliber to be like an actual sworn like patrol police officers that are like overstepping their bounds. There's like people who are like serving like civil papers that think that if they like dress up as a cop, you know, they can
they can have a little more authority behind their
exactly
actions.
Like they can drive their car recklessly with lights and sirens. And it's like, bro, you're just like, you're bringing someone's paperwork to let them know that like their spouse is filing for a divorce. This is not an emergency.
Yeah, the berries.
A lot of like
private somethings and berries.
Oh yeah, cherries and berries. Which I've noticed you don't really. I feel like you don't see red lights on police cars anymore. It's more like a blue and amber. You know.
Interesting.
Like at least.
Yeah, it's not an equal 50-50. It's not the thing spinning around.
I think. Yeah, I don't know why, but it just seems like it's a lot of blue and amber instead of.
Yeah, they've done a great job about cutting down what type of emergencies require turning the lights and sounds on, and even turning them off, like when you're in. They don't need to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like it is a great way of getting people's attention, like, you know, get the hell out of the way, but at the same time, it's also a distraction.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but yeah, like there's like private security firms that like outfit their guys way too much like cops and have like old police cars and stuff. There's all sorts of stuff, but like what's fascinating to me is the amount of money some of these people put into like putting like push bars on their cars, you know, LED lights, a radio, like all this stuff. You know, they'll have, you know, bulletproof vests, like they'll have everything, handcuffs. Like we're talking,
they're like they want to be the real deal.
We're talking like thousands of dollars and stuff. But like,
because that's part of you know, playing pretend as your costume.
Yeah,
I feel like I'd go undercover, just wear like jeans and a black T-shirt tucked into my pants.
Some of them do, and you know, that's the thing is like. It for like the average person, it like there might be some doubt in your mind, but it's like, you know, you don't want to.
You don't want to push it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about this guy who would do it just for fun, and then let him go.
Yep.
You know, you got to let him give an act. Of course, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to take them in.
Right. That's actually, some of them are people that are like just having fun, if you will. But yeah, it's always funny to just see the look on their face when they're like in the middle of one of their fake traffic stops and an actual police officer walks up to them.
Right.
So yeah, that's something that I enjoy watching, and but like, you know, I wonder if for cops it's sort of the same thing with like people who pretend to be veterans. Like people who are veterans, it's much easier for me to like spot and know someone isn't legit. And I'm wondering if it's the same thing for police officers, because like for the most part, like it's like, oh, maybe he's a detective or something, or you know, I mean, you can always call 911 and be like, is this guy legit?
Yeah, right.
You know, that's like, I didn't know that Rustin was its own incorporated town.
Yeah.
And so when I saw a Ruston police car once, I was like, if I
Wait
get
a
pulled
sec-
over, I'm going to call 911 and be like, help, somebody is pretending to be a Ruston police officer. I'm in Tacoma. I have never heard of Ruston in my life.
That would be really funny to then do a information act to get that phone call.
Oh, yeah. Put it on YouTube. Furcrest, same thing. Like,
yeah,
I'm like,
Furcrest, they're aggressive with their tickets.
I mean, it's the town's
So the legend is.
biggest money maker, if I'm not mistaken, is writing tickets for that very small little area. We should just annex Furcrest.
So I was in the barber shop the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy next to me was complaining about getting all these speeding tickets.
Oh yeah.
And then he was telling the stories of what was going on. He was like, yeah, I was going 90 and a 30.
Oh my god.
And the barber, you know how the barber usually just goes along with whatever your stance is?
Yeah.
The barber was like, dude, you can't be going that fast. Like, what do you need to go that fast for? He's like, I just got to be me. He's like, yeah, one time I was going 85 and a 60, and they pulled me over, and my parents were in the car, so I said we had to go to the airport. And they let me off. A lot of them they let him off.
Oh man, I feel like
this guy doesn't deserve to get let off.
No.
But probably he was getting pulled over by fake police officers.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I wonder if there are any police impersonators in like the Tacoma metro area.
Oh, there's got to be. At least for a moment.
Yeah. I
feel like one that maybe doesn't get caught very often is if you have like a domestic dispute and you call one of your friends to pretend to be a police officer, break it up.
Oh, really?
I feel like that's a move people do.
Yeah, that
you'd never know.
Yeah, not a wise move either. I feel like you could get yourself in a lot of trouble doing that. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, impersonating a police officer is obviously a crime, but like if you certain acts that are related to that are actually felonies.
Yes, I would imagine it depends how far you go.
Because
like you could do reckless endangerment easily.
Oh,
you
for
could
sure.
be driving excessively.
For sure.
Or you could even just like, I don't know, if you shot somebody while you were pretending to be a cop. I can't imagine what that crime is.
I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, me too.
Speaking of like the different towns in the area,
Uh-huh.
I know this can't happen because the toll plaza just like, sends a bill to whatever the registered address is on your license plate. But entertain this idea for a moment.
Okay.
What if you went over to Gig Harbor and you lost your wallet, so you were stuck in Gig Harbor? You're like that guy who lived in Charles de Gaulle Airport for like 13 years.
I heard he got stuck again recently.
Yeah, and then he died there. They found him dead.
Yeah.
Which
I didn't read the whole story, but it seemed crazy. They got to make a sequel to that movie.
I heard that wasn't a very good movie.
I heard it wasn't that good either.
I think living in an airport's actually a bit more boring than people think.
Yeah, and
probably.
actually, it seems like it has more amenities than most places you could stay.
I'll bet Charles de Gaulle Airport's pretty
nice.
Pretty nice. Although I was at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport once and I got stuck there overnight. There is nowhere to lay down in that airport.
Some airports are much better about having places to lay down.
Yeah.
I was in the Fiji airport.
Oh.
Instead of chairs, they just had like these giant bed type things. It was like when a futon is folded out.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they just had those in like weird like Tetris shapes.
Wow, that's the way to go.
It was the best. Everybody was sleeping.
Nice. I like that a lot.
I think they just figure anybody who's going that far, they got to be tired.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the toll, right? It's only if you come back to Tacoma from Gig Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, some people go all the way around.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, is this to keep the Gig Harbor people out?
I think it is.
Keep them trapped in?
I think it does. I think it works, probably.
Yeah.
Keeps me from going over there, at least.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to get stuck at the Gig Harbor penal colony.
There is the women's correctional facility out there.
I thought that was on...
It's a little past Gig Harbor, but...
It's on, what's that island called? It's on an
McNeil.
island. Yeah.
That's actually the women's sex offenders.
Oh, they put the women's sex offender separate from the from.
Yeah.
I feel like the men, they just mix them all.
There's separate places for them too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. That's a very specialized. There's probably not a lot of prisons like that in the United States.
Yeah.
The
But
women's.
you got to think if you're staying there for your whole life, people add up.
Yeah, I guess so.
If it houses 100 people, that's only like one a year in the whole state.
But yeah, when's the last time you've been to Gig Harbor? Like
I actually
you've been
went
recently.
somewhat recently. Yeah, I was watching a friend's dog. And I live a little bit past Gig Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot to do over there.
No, and they like it that way.
Yeah.
They like that they're so separate from the city but so close.
Yeah. One of my friends rode his bike across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
That's fun. I've walked it myself.
It's quite windy.
It's a pretty big walk. Yeah, it is windy, notoriously.
I was actually at Chambers Bay on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that also very windy.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful place, though.
It's amazing to me that they had the U.S. Open there.
Oh, yeah, 2015, was it? Yeah. That would have been so cool. I wish.
They were complaining about it. They were like, geez, this grass isn't that great, or whatever.
It's like, you're never going to, I don't know. I feel like it's so unique in terms of golf courses. Like, you go out there's no trees, not a single tree.
It is kind of weird, especially when we live in a forest.
Yeah. Well, it used to be a quarry, I believe.
I do believe as well, although I'm not sure what a quarry for.
Probably gravel. Gravel's so important to civilization.
It really is.
It's
the foundation of roads.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of foundation.
I mean, look at railroads, too. It's on those gravel.
Oh,
it's up on gravel, like ballast.
Anything you build on, you got to put it on gravel. I never really thought about that. They say like that the church was built on the rock of St. Peter, but really it was built on all of the little rocks that make up all of the church.
All the little rocks of little St. Peter's, millions of little St. Peter's.
Gravel is very important technology. When did they invent gravel, do you think?
I imagine it's a pretty early invention, but it's not like fire, right? It's going to be much later. We're talking like, a couple thousand years BC, maybe.
I saw this thing. It said that we invented the wheel before we invented fire.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They lived in darkness.
Oh, wait, no, is that right? Well, I know they invented whatever stone tools before fire.
It must have been insane when they invented fire, dude.
Oh, man.
Like,
big time.
How
come we don't know that person's name?
I don't think they wrote.
Didn't even have names.
It was before written language.
Names, yeah. Before oral tradition.
Gosh, could you imagine being face blind back before names?
Ugh. Tough.
Terrible.
You'd probably just die.
But you invent fire, but before fire it was just cold and darkness.
Oh, it was just always cold. Unless it was too hot.
Unless it was too hot, but still, your food's not cooked.
Yeah, that part kind of sucks. You eat more berries, I guess.
Cherries and berries.
Yeah, right.
I really want to know. There must have been some really specialized, there was still specialization in labor back then. And how I know that is they had to have somebody in the group that could tell them which mushrooms were okay to eat and which ones weren't okay to eat.
Totally. Well, you have your hunters
essential.
And you have your gatherers, right?
Yeah, I mean the gatherer, they were, it's generations of knowledge of which mushrooms, which mushroom killed granddad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we don't eat that one anymore.
You picture yourself more of a hunter or a gatherer?
I picture myself more of a gatherer.
Yeah.
I think
it seems safer.
It definitely seems safer.
It's a little more feminine, but
I can live with that.
yeah.
It's take a nice walk in the woods. Go
Yeah,
find
exactly.
some nice berries and stuff. It's like a nature walk, but they always say leave it as you found it. But back in these times, you could take whatever the hell you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Could have
Especially in these areas, it's very easy to harvest.
you'd be like, that's a cool looking toad. I'm gonna take that toad
Mm.
and
Yeah,
lick it.
it
And
does
get
almost
the.
seem more like gathering than hunting.
Have you heard of the psychedelic toads
I
in
have.
Arizona, Sedona, I believe?
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
I'm just so glad that the Park Service had to put out like an announcement telling people please stop
Mm.
licking the toads.
Yeah, well, because it's a you don't want to take drugs imprecisely.
Right. Well,
It's a lick on a toad is a pretty imprecise way to take a drug.
I also feel like the toads probably aren't too happy about it.
I think they're probably fine about it, unless they're even if they're in captivity. I don't think frogs are very smart. I don't think they can see very far in front of them.
It's not just any frog.
You're right.
It's a toad.
It is a toad, and with superpowers.
Yeah. Apparently, like one of the ways there's like toads attract mates is they have like oscillating multicolor eyes.
Whoa!
Yeah.
To see out of or to look at?
Like when you look at them, like I mean they see out of them too, but
because like the color of your eyes doesn't affect your vision, right?
no, but it's just
I guess
it's a
affects light
cosmetic.
sensitivity.
It's a cosmetic thing for them. It's how they attract their mates, but like
beautiful eyes.
you
Like,
lick.
ah, what beautiful eyes you have,
Like-
toad.
Like you lick the toad, you start to have a psychedelic trip, and then you stare at the toad's multicolored oscillating eyes. It's really a complete package in terms of
I
like
that.
experiences.
It probably feels weird too.
What if like the park just like leaned into it? It's like, come on down to Sedona National Park. We got psychedelic toads. Like all the promotional stuff has like.
Well, I think that it's also related to the Native Americans in the areas.
Mhm.
So like there's a similar thing with peyote, where if you're Native American, you're allowed to harvest it, but if you're not, you're not.
Okay.
So I kind of like that idea of like exclusive harvesting rights. Like you're not allowed to pick up an eagle feather.
Right.
We all know that, but if you're native, you can.
Okay. Yeah, it's like what? Like it's like a $10,000 fine if
It's
you
very
get caught
significant.
with a eagle feather.
You ever seen an eagle feather and been tempted?
No, never seen one.
Yeah, me either. I'd be tempted though if I saw one.
Well, if we've never seen one, who's been picking them up?
I know. I've seen eagles all over the place. I've probably seen thousands of eagles.
If one landed on my property, like I'd be like, is there someone I can call to like take this, because I'm just so
I don't want to mess it up.
I'm so tempted.
Are they still endangered?
I
did
think
they
they're
get taken
I think
off
they're
the
considered
endangered list?
vulnerable.
Okay, that's not
Yeah.
that bad.
I mean, that was like, the losing the eagles, that was like one of the first great triumphs of environmentalism, right? We
Bring it back, you
almost lost the eagles. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been tragic. Good thing we didn't have the turkey as our national bird. We wouldn't have kept the eagles around as importantly.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah.
They'd be like the condor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The condors. They're
California,
there's less
right?
than like 100 California condors.
Yeah.
On the verge of extinction.
Yeah. Speaking of animals,
Mm-hmm.
they got the zoo lights going on at
nice.
at the Point
zoo
Defiance
lights. Oh, awesome.
Zoo. Yeah.
You want to go do that sometime?
Sure.
Is it just a drive-through, or do you have to
You can walk. I think it's walk.
walk? Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Is it in the zoo, or is it around
it's
Point Defiance and like the...
it's in the zoo.
Oh,
like
okay.
yeah, you go inside the zoo and they have these light displays. And some of them are pretty fun actually. I remember a couple years ago I went and they had a mock-up of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, like a little miniature one,
Mhm.
and it had like little little lights that went on it, like so it looked like the cars driving at night. Like
fun.
one direction it had red lights for all the tail lights, and
Uh-huh.
then it had white lights for the coming towards Tacoma. So it was cool, very cool. And they have some of the animals are out, so if you want to like feed them or pet them.
I like that.
What's your favorite zoo animal? Like if you go to a zoo, it's like I really hope they have this animal.
Reggie X and I've been to the zoo a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the zoo pass, and we were walking around, and there was the what was it called? This kid was he was like, oh, it's just a whatever. And he made it sound like it was the most boring animal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I love that animal. But he was like, it's just the muskox.
The muskox.
Yeah, there was a
okay.
muskox.
Wow.
And then this kid goes up, and he's like, what is it? What is it? And he goes, it's just a muskox. And he knew what it was, too, without even reading the sign.
Wow.
So I like the muskox.
Yeah.
Yeah, underrated, the muskox, I would say.
It's your favorite?
Probably not my favorite. It's probably the hippo's my favorite.
Very dangerous animal.
Yeah, you get to see him eat the big watermelon.
Oh, I bet that's kind of fun to watch. Just crunch. I bet they're having a good time on Pumpkin Day too.
Exactly. Of all the animals to watch eat, I think they're probably the best. I mean, elephants are pretty sick too, but
yeah,
a little more of a hippo guy, perhaps.
Okay.
I like the big cats, but at the zoo they're not usually as entertaining.
No, they're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
They're very sleepy.
Like, if they're a tiger, they're like walking through the bamboo and you can hardly see them.
Yeah.
They're like slinking around.
Giraffes.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Oh, I'm a big giraffe guy.
Giraffes are fun. They are ridiculous.
They are so ridiculous, but one of my favorite parts is at most zoos you can feed them.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of places you can feed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can feed them I don't think at Point Defiance though.
I don't think they have giraffes. Do they have giraffes? I don't think Point Defiance has them.
I don't think so. They do have giraffes at Woodland Park up in Seattle, but
okay.
I don't think you can feed them there.
Yeah. Monkeys. It's hard to beat monkeys.
The probably best zoo exhibit I ever saw was I think it's gibbons.
Oh
where
yeah,
they have
yeah.
the tail that's as long as their arm.
Yeah.
And they were just I think so. I was in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And there was this like free zoo park where they just had like 5 or 6 big cages with gibbons in them.
Mm-hmm.
And these gibbons were the most active animals I've ever seen in a cage.
Wow.
I think they might have been giving them meth, is what I heard. Is they like give them like uppers so that but it was like they were all chasing each other at the same time and like swinging with the big swings and the thing and just running around. It was so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gibbons. That's an old world monkey.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like barrel of monkeys.
Yeah. That's Monkeys by the Barrel.
Yeah.
It
was a fun game. I liked that game, Barrel of Monkeys.
Oh yeah, I don't think I ever played it.
It's
I remember it from Toy Story.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, they climb down, but you put them all in the barrel, and then you grab one, and then you try to hook the next one, and then you hook the next one. And You try to get them all out of the barrel on one continuous chain.
Wow, maybe we should have a Monday morning grit game night.
I'd be down. I'd be down to play some Barrel of Monkeys.
I guess one other thing I wanted to talk about. It's in the same area. You ever been to Fort Nisqually?
I have been to Fort Nisqually.
I think I was there with Emmett once, and Emmett was like, "What a stupid spot to put a fort." And I was like, "You know what? Actually, I couldn't agree more. You can't see a damn thing out there.
Yeah,
it's just
not really
trees.
It's not super protected.
No
thing. It's not like the greatest waterway access.
Nope.
Yeah, I wonder why they did put it there. Now that you mention it,
and you gotta pay to get in to see how things used to be. You know, It's like I wonder I wonder how you get that job. Like, you can just like, I'm an expert on how to fire a musket. Like, that's a very specific.
I can load a cannon.
Yeah, it's a very specific set of skills, right?
Yeah.
That like not very transferable anywhere else.
No. I can cut down a tree and build siege equipment.
I, it's very very authentic experience, except for the ADA compliance. Definitely not something they had back in the day.
No.
But yeah, it's that's an interesting spot. It is kind of cool to see like the actual fort structure.
I like Nisqually, the boardwalk, the long boardwalk, the park.
Oh yeah.
Because if you go in the right seasons, when you go out there, there's more eagles than I've ever seen anywhere else in my life. I think one time I was there and I saw over 100 eagles in one day.
Okay.
That's how I got to my over 1,000 mark.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is that
in my general estimation?
Nice. I'm probably at like 200 maybe.
Yeah.
I gotta get those numbers up.
No, you don't know how many are duplicates, probably. But I've been up and down the coast. I've seen eagles.
It's like when I photograph trains, I'll like keep
to see if you had that one already.
Exactly, and I actually saw one yesterday that I hadn't seen in I think
in eons,
over a year, I think, and it was like
there's my old friend.
It's good to see you, old friend. Yeah, it's like they haven't sent you to the scrapyard yet, I see. But yeah, it's certainly interesting. Some you see a lot more than others, especially the passenger trains. They just get like the same ones to run the same service routes.
Oh yeah.
So those are pretty common. But yeah, the freight ones, there's hundreds of freight trains out there, and it's not always. And I usually go off the lead locomotive. You'll have sometimes you can have 4 or 5 locomotives on one train, but I always go off the leader.
That's the name.
Yep, that's
the leader.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. Well, you got
anything exciting coming up this week?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I'm going up to Seattle tomorrow for a day, but other than that, I don't know if I have any Tacoma-related activities.
Nope.
Nothing even really exciting coming up this week, I don't think.
No, I mean, I guess I talked about Zoo Lights.
Zoo Lights.
Cool.
Well, maybe we'll have to go do the Zoo Lights.
Yeah, we'll check out Zoo Lights.
There we go, and then maybe we'll report back and see if they were good this year.
Yeah, we'll tell.
How many icicles they put up.
They spent a lot of time putting up icicles.
Yeah, right. They always get to have the newest technology in lighting.
Yeah, I feel like that. Icicles are old news, but man, that Tacoma Narrows Bridge mock-up they had that one year, that was pretty cool. That was pretty sweet.
Hell yeah.
But yep.
All right. Well, until next week. Have a good afternoon, and
we'll see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
All right.